Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our latest podcast. And today we have, because of the season, the opportunity to talk about some of the things that we can do to try to stay sane during this time. And I brought on a couple of people who have families and have children, and I thought I would ask them those questions. What do you do to stay sane and to keep things from getting too hectic during the Christmas break? So before we start, let's go around the room and introduce who we have. You want to start, please?
Yeah, my name is Hilda Brown. Hi, everybody.
And where do you work?
I'm working HR department in district office.
Okay, and how many kids do you have?
I have two, one 16 and one 6 years old.
Wow, okay. Well, thank you for sharing. And who else do we have?
Hello, my name is Hilda Dominguez. I'm the Special Programs Coordinator for Legacy.
And how many children do you have?
I have 3 children, a 26-year-old who's already married, a 19-year-old, and a 13-year-old.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
And I think it's important that we talk about this season and try to have some coping skills that we impart, if we have any secrets, so that we can keep the season from getting too hectic. And when things get hectic, sometimes it doesn't stay the positive experience that we want it to be. So let's start with Hilda. I'll use your Spanish pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about what are some of your holiday traditions that you do here now and as a parent, and how do you keep things controlled so that the kids don't sort of get giddy and it's not too much?
Okay, it's a little complicated because we try to divide, both traditions. Like in this case, my family is like a half American and half Mexican. So we try to keep both in place. So what I do is, keep Santa Claus, but Niño Dios or Niño Jesus too. So what I do is my kids just write a letter to Santa Claus, and then they make like a prayer asking for the Niño Jesus what they want. But all the time keeping in mind that the most important thing is the Jesus birth spirit. So that way, if they try to ask for 1,000 of gifts or whatever, I'm just say, okay, keep in mind that there's a lot of kids in the world. And so from all these lists or whatever that you write, maybe Niño Jesus and Santa will bring you one, because it's a lot of kids that needs to have gifts too.
So what kind of family traditions do you have with having the American side and the Mexican side?
Okay, by example, like write a letter for Santa, and then in each night we put the traditional cookies for Santa and cup of milk and everything. And for Niño Jesus, we make like the posada, the traditional posada that we will talking about later. And so they know both.
So let's talk a little bit about your schedule. You will be off Friday.
Yes.
After early release. And then what happens that following week before Christmas?
Okay, like the posadas, and I will start talking about a little bit, needs to be 9 days before Christmas. 9 because it's related with the 9 month of pregnancy for Mary, the Virgin Mary.
Oh,
so
okay.
Starting the 16, there was yesterday, we start, making the posadas in different houses. This is the tradition. So my kids know that around the 7 or whatever, they need to get ready, because we will go for one house. We need to visit 9 houses. So they are ready at 7 to visit the next home, next house. Every night before Christmas.
Goodness gracious. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then what about the American side then? How do you honor that?
They are ready, write a letter, and they waiting for Santa.
Well, how about the family, though? Your husband's family?
Oh, my husband's family just wait the 24 for Santa at night. So we put all for Santa, and then the 25th we just wait on the chimney or whatever, and we'll see what the gift, because we usually put the gifts on the chimney.
So, when do you meet with his side? Like, do you meet Christmas Day or Christmas Eve?
Yes, usually it's after Christmas because they celebrate more like New Year's. So it's good in my side, but my family is all the time celebrate Christmas and Christmas Eve.
Okay.
So we like a split. After Christmas, we'll be with his family, and before Christmas, we'll be with mine.
So it sounds like you have it figured out pretty well. Things are pretty much controlled, and it's your family has a good time.
A very good time.
What is
We
your-
love holidays and Christmas.
What does your husband think of the Mexican side of the traditions?
You know, we have like a 9 years marriage, so he's still learning. But he say, you Mexicans never get tired of celebrations, and I'm saying no, and we're just starting with Christmas, because then it's Rosca de Reyes, and then so and so. So we really love this season, and we really know how to enjoy it.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Let's go to Ms. Dominguez. Ms. Dominguez, how does your family celebrate and to try to keep things, because especially now that your kids are older, they have wives, they have extra relatives, and so how do you guys stay calm and peaceful and positive during this time?
Well, Christmas is all about family. Yes, we celebrate and we start really early. They said Puerto Rico have the longest Christmas celebrations in the world, and it might be true.
Here's where I know it's true. We visited Puerto Rico for a recruiting trip right after Halloween, and I was amazed. Beginning of November, Puerto Rico was decked out for Christmas.
Ready
Decked
for
out.
Christmas.
Even worse than the United States. or just more, not worse, I shouldn't use that word, but just more
Yes.
than the United States.
Yes, that is true. So traditionally, the Christmas season begins the night of Thanksgiving, and it ends en el Día de la Candelaria. So it's February 2nd. And I say traditionally because in the past, that was the day you bring down the Christmas tree and you burn it outside for the Virgen de la Candelaria. And that's why it finishes on February 2nd.
So
We
when
don't
do you
burn
put
any
your-
more trees.
You don't burn any more trees. That's good to know. So when do you put your tree up?
I used to, growing up, put it the day after Thanksgiving. So not the day after, the night of Thanksgiving. We will finish the Thanksgiving dinner, go out, buy the Christmas tree, bring it up, set it up, decorate everything until the wee hours of the night, until you were done. And then you were ready that's where Christmas started. But starting 2 years ago, my kids, they get desperate. They don't want to wait until Thanksgiving. So we've been decorating earlier, like around the first week of November. And it's kind of funny because I love Thanksgiving. So everything is Christmas in my house except for the dining room, which is Thanksgiving. So we kind of,
Well, you start early, and that keeps things sane a little bit.
yes.
And so how do you decide who goes where and so forth?
Noche Buena, which is the night before Christmas, we always gather for dinner, the family. So it's typically in my house. In Puerto Rico, everybody, when I was growing up, all the family went to my house. Cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone from both sides. Once it was now my turn to do the dinner, they would come to my house, but it was more cousins, kind of friends, my mom, my children, maybe some of their friends, whoever just shows up. And now that I'm here in Texas, at the beginning, our family away from our family was, well, the Texas teachers that didn't go and travel, we would meet together, and maybe we started with like 17, 18, and twice we had like over 40 during Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow.
So everybody, it's like a potluck. Everybody brings something, and we just gather together, and that's for Thanksgiving. So for Nochebuena, it's the same thing. We do the same thing. Now that my son is married, well, his wife comes over. So we always do the 24th, the 31st at my house, and Thanksgiving.
So things stay pretty calm.
Yeah.
What about gift giving and gift buying and gift decision? How do you make those?
Well, just like Hilda was saying, we celebrate both. So we do Santa Claus, and they write their letter to Santa, and I urge them to start early so I could start
Even
preparing for
your
that.
older kids do that?
Well, the middle one does it still. It's more like technological. She texts me her list.
The 19-year-old?
Yes, and Natasha kind of starts like a little book or thing and starts putting things there. Or she starts snapping pictures and sending me, oh, I want this for Christmas. Let me take a picture. And that kind of stuff. That's how we do it. It's always about baby Jesus being born. So even in our Christmas tree, we have the nacimiento, the nativity scene, but baby Jesus is not there because he's not born yet.
So
He's under the tree skirt.
I had been reading up on gift giving, and I read something that said that it depends whether you read the 3-gift rule or the 4-gift rule. And the 4-gift is something they want, then something they need, something they can read, and something they can use. Now, that sounds like a lot if you have more than one kid.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
No.
I kind of don't have a set number for Santa Claus. It kind of depends on the list. And for the 3 kings, yes. I mean, I said, well, they only bring 1 gift to Jesus. And I said, yeah, but there's 3 kings. So there was 3 gifts. So yeah, that didn't work out very well.
much.
So they end up with 3. And typically what you do was for the 3 Kings Day, that's when they really get the really nice gifts because the oro, the incienso, and the mirra, the
myrrh.
The myrrh. But since the school system started earlier every year, so now they get like those that they need to play with for Santa Claus, and then the ones that they get to use or maybe not play that much or not significant for 3 Kings because they don't have enough time to play with them.
So before I forget, and we're talking about gift giving, one of the things I'd like to remind parents is that this is a good time to replenish some of the school supplies that kids use up: tissues, wipes, dry eraser markers, lined paper, computer paper, pencils, especially pencils, highlighters. A lot of these are things that you can put in their stockings.
Stockings.
Yeah, their stockings. But just understanding that the things that are sent at the beginning of the year, they just don't last all year. So parents, you can be sort of creative, and I know that
It's a good idea.
some people put a new toothbrush and toothpaste in that, pencils and highlighters, and
School supplies will be good.
yeah, school supplies is another good thing, so that they can come back re-energized and replenished with school supplies. And we'll put that list in the comments. Also, I know that there's some thoughts with parents who think that it should be just a sort of mind or brain vacation for kids. But unfortunately, learning loss happens. It's worse during the summer, and I talk about that in early May every year. I talk about the summer learning loss, and it's a known phenomenon. And we try to work with you all to make sure that there is less learning loss. And let me just mention that the Commissioner of Education has said that in House Bill 3, which is the finance bill that was passed by legislators in the last session, there is a new provision allowing schools to stay open an extra 20 half days during the summer. And so that's coming up. We haven't gotten all the statutes cleaned up on that, but the commissioner met with the superintendents in Region 10 and let us know that that was an opportunity for school to continue for 2 ways. One is, and some of you may realize that teachers and TAs and other people involved in schools, they work in other jobs during the summer. Oftentimes, it's not unusual for a teacher or anyone involved in teaching to have 2 or 3 jobs, especially in the summer. And so being able to pay our teaching assistants and our teachers half-day pay for 20 days might keep them from having to find a second job and keep them doing things they love, like teaching kids, but it would be probably less kids and it's less time. So it's a win-win, and that's something I wanted to put out there and let parents know that it's coming. Now, whether it'll be this year, I don't know, if this summer, because I don't know if all the cleanup around the law will happen in time, but I wanted to share what the commissioner had told us, and that's exciting. Because unfortunately, a lot of learning loss is done during the summer when kids sort of play on the devices. Hopefully they're outside, which is also good, but if we don't read, if we don't do some brain activity, we definitely see that we have to go backwards before we go forwards at the beginning of the school year. So, at Legacy, we try to be proactive and not have that happen. So talk about no learning loss or little learning loss during the 2-week break. I know that we have some homework, what do we call it? Holiday homework expectations. And it's not a lot. We don't want kids to be sitting at, the kitchen table every day of the break. But we do want to make sure that kids stay engaged in some sort of academic work. I believe there's some possible worksheets going home in some grades. There's software expectations around the reading and math softwares, and that's I will tell you, parents, it's not horrible. It's not a horrible task for kids to be asked to be on the softwares, because frankly, they're so much like games now. They're just gaming. They're gaming while they're doing math. They're gaming while they're doing reading. So it's quite enjoyable for many kids to be on these reading and math programs. So having the expectation that maybe 30 minutes one day is math and 30 minutes the next day is reading, and they alternate, would be at least a way of keeping them mentally engaged in something academic for a little bit. I know this will be going home. I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is the Legacy Preparatory Mesquite West Middle School Holiday Homework Challenge, and it involves each of the content areas for grades 6, 7, and 8, and this was also sent to Plano, and so it's the teachers helping the middle schoolers to keep their brains engaged for a little bit. And then we also have some other teachers, anywhere from high school on down. For example, I see here digital arts is to create a snowy background using Pixlr. That doesn't sound like work. That sounds like fun. Web tech, 5 examples of holiday websites with one problem in their design in each of the websites. Again, that doesn't sound hard. List all networked technologies in your home for networking class. IT, fix any issues with your home computer. So you see that the teachers are trying to give a homework expectation within their content area so that they're engaged in something academic, even if it's a little bit fun. Let's see, the capstone kids, they need to complete the About Me page on their own instructional website. Computer science lists 5 programmable processors that control physical products in your home. So you'll see that, yes, we have expectations because we want kids to stay focused on their academic side so that it's a more natural part. It's not shut down completely and then having to start back up 2 weeks later. That's very, very difficult for some children to sort of kick their brains back into gear after 14 days. And maybe a little bit more because it includes that half-day Friday and then the weekends and all that. So please help us in making sure that there's reading going on, there's some math work. And speaking of reading, I'm going to start a new program because, I've got all sorts of free time. I'm going to challenge myself to videotape myself reading an engaging book for kids and getting it out there so that once a week you will have something to show your children, Dr. Good reading a book, and then asking questions about the book. I'm going to leave you with the list of questions in the comment section so that you have an opportunity to engage your child in the story we just read. And in one sense, I'll be helping train you to know how to better engage you and your child in reading so that you know what kind of questions to ask, because a lot of parents bring us kids who are reading, but a lot of times because they haven't asked questions about the content, the side of comprehension is not as strong as their reading fluency. And so we're hoping that we can help parents learn how to help with comprehension by training you to know what questions you should ask, not only at the end of the story, but within the story. So you'll see me, I'm going to pick up a book, and I'm going to show the cover, and I'm going to ask the boys and girls to make some predictions about what the book is going to be about, and so forth. So I'm going to lead you through, and I'm going to do that every week for a while so that you have that opportunity to sit with your child, show the video, and engage in conversation with them, him, her, them, around the story. So I'm going to make you parent reading teachers to help us with that work. So I want to also, because we have such an international group, talk about our holiday traditions. We're even though I grew up in Latin America and I know a lot of the Mexican traditions because I lived in Mexico City, we are still pretty American in our approach, especially now that we're back in the United States. And so we, especially married and having two sides, you have the husband side and my side, right? And so it used to be that we would do things a little bit separate or share, every other. But as we have grown together over 40 years, a lot of our holidays are just together. We don't share them anymore. Everybody's known each other for 40 years, so we're all friends, right? But at New Year's Eve, we go to my husband's side, and we have a white elephant gift exchange. We buy gifts for the kids, but even the kids have a gift exchange because there's so many kids now. There's so many nieces and nephews and so forth that we'd all go bankrupt if we had to buy for everybody. So that's one of the ways that we try to keep things peaceful and less expensive, less commercial, and more, the reason for the season. And so we have to buy one gift for the adults and for the gift exchange, and then the kids exchange names. So I think we had 13 kids this year. So the parents, let's say the parents have 3 kids, they're going to buy 3 gifts, but that's all. They're not buying 13. And then their kids will receive a gift. Right. And then we bring a potluck. It's a potluck dinner so that it's less work for the hosting family. And we just enjoy ourselves. A lot of good conversation and laughing and so forth. The next day, Christmas Day, we will go over to one of our son's homes who has 2 grandkids of ours. And oftentimes our number 2 son and his wife, who don't have kids yet, they'll come over on Christmas Day. My daughter is coming from Georgia with her family of 3 kids, and so there's 5 of them coming Friday, so no rest. We leave Legacy and go home, and there they are. But so family traditions, very, very important for us, very important. But one of the things that as we were discussing the agenda for today, we figured out that we had sort of the American version, and we had the Mexican version, and we had the Puerto Rican version. So let's talk a little bit about that, because you guys felt compelled to bring some pictures. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so let's go ahead and start with showing the pictures that, Hilda, you brought. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about the pictures that will be shown. What's your first one?
Okay. We'll be talking about posadas. That is the name of this tradition. What I'm saying before is that are for the 9 days before Christmas. And it's supposed that a child dressed as an angel, like you can see in the picture, leads a procession through the streets of town. And the rest of the people carrying lit candles and images of the Mary and Joseph.
All right. And so these, and we call them sparklers.
Riding a donkey.
And you actually do that in your neighborhood?
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly. In my neighborhood with 9 houses. So we will go from one home to the other with the candles. We name it candles.
Sparklers.
Exactly. And then singing is a little song. I don't know. All the Mexicans will know that is En el nombre del cielo, hoy pido posada. It's like I'm asking for posada or for, a staying. Exactly. And then if you see the Virgin, just go inside to the home. And at the conclusion of the service, children break open piñatas, fill it with candies, toys, and sometimes money. So we put some coins inside to the piñata. Okay, I will give you some explanation about the piñata that needs to be with 7 peaks. And that peaks means the 7 capital sins. So that means that we hit in the sins, and the stick represents the force with which you will break those sins.
Oh. I lived in I don't think I knew that. I was young, so they
You were just
okay.
breaking the piñata.
Yeah,
So
we
when
were
you-
just trying to get the candy.
So when you hit the piñata and then all the candies come out, that represents the grace of God when you destroy the capital sins.
Wow. Well, that's new information. And I'm going to Mexico City the 28th. My 84-year-old dad called and said, would you come with us to Mexico City and bring your grandchild? And I said, well, heck yeah. And so we will be, it's been 40 years since I've been to Mexico City. And now,
That's interesting.
yeah. And do you have one more picture?
Yes, I have one more picture because this is the, January 6th, that is Rosca de Reyes or Tres Reyes Magos celebration, that we made that kind of, it's like a little cake, and we put a little baby, plastic baby inside. Can be 2, can be 3, depends, because you just get a piece of that cake, and if you get that baby, it's like you need to make a party. The February 2nd, that is Dia de la Candelaria.
Whoever
El Día de la
Exactly.
Candelaria.
So some people is like they can even eat the little baby,
They're afraid
try
to-
to avoiding, make the party because they know there will be
That's
a
funny.
bunch of people. But
is
usually
funny.
it's good because that means that the baby is with you and you will receive a lot of grace and a lot of good things in the year that Jesus started.
Very interesting, fascinating. Talk a
That's-
little bit, Ms. Dominguez, because we are
Yeah,
closing
we
on
do
time.
something similar to the posadas, but we're not asking for posada. We call them parrandas. And parranda is a group of family of friends. They come with musical instruments. They're singing Puerto Rican carols or Christmas carols, but Puerto Rican. And it's surprise. You don't know when they're coming. You get ready when it's the season because at some point you'll get a parranda. So they just show up late at night. They shout asalto, which is robbery or something like that, asalto. And they start singing. And when the people of the house turn on the lights, then, okay, you messed up. You turn on the lights. We know you're home, so you need to open the door, receive everyone. And they go from house to house, several houses in the night. The last house they visit makes the sopon, the soup. The sopon because that will be they're tired. They've been singing all night, and it's just a little warm thing, something to eat before it's already almost the morning. So you need something warm to get going to your house. So those are the parrandas. We also celebrate the Dia de Reyes. The kids, they collect grass and put it in a shoebox for the camels the night before the Three Kings Day or the Epiphany, because they leave that for the camels as a present, so the Three Kings will leave a gift for them. Not under the tree, but under the bed.
When I lived in Mexico City, we put out our shoes, and the gift was in our shoes on January 6th.
Yeah.
So-
So those are the Three Kings of Juana Diaz. They are traditional in Puerto Rico. It's a really, really long tradition. They have even visited the Pope. And they go visiting different towns on camels or sometimes horses, depending on what we have available. And they do
Fascinating.
celebrations. So, yes.
And of course, we didn't want to leave Spain out because Spain it has a big impact on our school. So we have a quick audio from Mr. Arturo Salazar Polo.
Good afternoon. My name is Arturo Sanchez. I'm a visitor teacher from Spain. This is my second year in Legacy Preparatory. And as I come from Spain, I am going to tell you some things about how Christmas is celebrated in my country. Well, Christmas has some common things in most of the countries, as you know, but of course there are some specific traditions for every single place. When I talk about Christmas and taking Christmas in general, not only the day of the 25th December, in Spain is a social event. I mean, you gather with your family and or with your friends to celebrate. But it is also time for trips, for leisure time. Of course, you have to know that it is pretty different Christmas Eve night or the Christmas day from New Year's Eve. Christmas Eve used to be more familiar. You stay with your family, you have dinner. So as Christmas, the Christmas day, in which you used to have lunch with your family. But New Year's Eve is quite different. You have dinner with your family, but sometimes you have planned a different thing with friends, like, for example, a trip to somewhere. So you are not staying with your family so much. It's not like the idea to be with your family that day. Of course, you celebrate with your family if you are at home or you go to see your uncles, grandmother, cousins, etc. But we don't take it so familiar. It's more a night to celebrate, going out in the night, having some beverages, dancing, having fun, etc. You stay awake, well, at least you stay awake until the sun has risen in the morning. Well, this is for youngsters, moreover, but adults in general stay also late after, of course, eating the 12 grapes. It's a very typical tradition in Spain to watch television as everyone is eating 12 grapes. 12 grapes, one for each second, just before 12 o'clock. And when 12 o'clock comes, you have eaten the 12 grapes, you have them all in your mouth, and you cheer, you shout, you celebrate. Well, afterwards, some families also get to do lunch or gather around the first day of the new year. Others just take time to sleep and have a rest. Well, this is also very typical. Because I have to say that in Spain we eat and drink much in these days. We try to put on the table delicious meals for every occasion. And then the next days, on the night of the 5th of January, the three wise men come with a bunch of presents for everyone. And January the 6th, we celebrate it with our families. And it's something that is typical from Spain. We eat the roscón de reyes. It's like a king cake, which is a typical meal for this day. Then on January 7, people used to come back to their works. And January 8, schools generally start over again. So those are our Christmas in Spain. I hope you all get to know it once. Bye.
Okay, well, it's interesting. I have to wonder how many of the traditions that we're hearing from Spain bled over through the conquistadores and all of that, and you guys then made it your own. So fascinating.
The grapes. We do that. Once it strikes 12, the night before New Year's Eve, it strikes 12, so it's New Year's. You eat your 12 grapes and you throw a bucket of water outside just to take out everything that is bad, all the evil out, and you stir it. Yeah, or you walk with your luggage to make sure that you traveled that year.
So as it's been fascinating hearing the traditions, some of the same, some of the not. But as always, this time in here goes by very fast. And so we appreciate you coming and sharing how you try to keep peace and calm and positive during the holiday season. It sounds like the focus is on the family. And when the focus is on the family, then that's the right focus. So thank you for being here. And just to let you know, we won't be podcasting next Tuesday on the 24th. Surprise, surprise. But we will have a podcast on New Year's Eve. We're taping it early, and it's about new beginnings equals new year equals a new job for parents, maybe? We're going to talk to recruiter Casey Hastings about how to look for a new job. So thank you for being here. Remember to come 2 weeks from now or pick it up later on YouTube. Thank you all. Have a great holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ask Dr. Be Good show. For more information on Legacy Preparatory Charter Schools, visit our website, legacypca.com, or call 469-249-1099. And remember to like us on Facebook, where we stream live weekly Tuesdays at 3 p.m.